Thank you all very much. Thank you, Billy. Hey, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out tonight. As Billy said, this is a hugely important event. Thank you for doing this for our neighbors. This is a big deal. So sit back, relax, and let us pleasure you with our mouths. I know we got some Facebook addicts in the crowd. Are any of my fellow Facebook addicts out there? Yeah. Thank you for putting away your phone and focusing on the stage. I know the struggle is real. We can find out what your mom's serial killer name would be after the show. And I know some of you are probably wondering which Disney princess I would be. That's ridiculous. I would clearly be Princess Jasmine because I love mystery and adventure. Anybody give up anything fun for Lent? Lent's still going on. Crickets. Nobody ever gives anything up for fun for Lent. I can prove it. How many of you out there gave up oral sex for Lent? Again, crickets. I knew it. I grew up in a Christian family, but we didn't really participate in Lent. In fact, we didn't even participate in Christianity all that much. And at one point, when I was growing up, all my favorite comedians were either Jewish or black. And at one point, I thought about converting to Judaism. But a few things stopped me there. And I also thought about converting to black. I knew my parents wouldn't let me, though. They were afraid I'd never come back. But I didn't convert to Judaism either because, number one, nobody ever gets anything cool like an iPad for Hanukkah. Number two, fuck that no bacon rule. Right? And lastly, I found out that the Star of David doesn't keep the vampires away. In the Jewish custom, they have a tradition where a person called a mohel cuts off part of the baby's penis at 8 days old. Everybody familiar with that? It's called a bris. But every culture has a tradition where they remove the male's penis completely, and we call that a marriage ceremony. I myself, I'm on wife number 4 now, so that means a few things, right? Yeah, I obviously don't learn from my mistakes. The third time was not the charm, and my penis at this point is an innie. It is. Ask my wife. But before we got married, I went to Jared. Not the jewelry store, the Subway sandwich guy. I thought he could help her lose some weight. We're still kind of newlyweds. We got married back in June in Las Vegas. And that saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Yeah, that's bullshit. I'm apparently still married everywhere. So we got married in Vegas in June, and everything's going really well. We already have pet names for each other. Like my pet name for her is Babe, Calm Down. Her pet name for me is Just Shut Your Mouth Already. My wife was born with a really odd birth defect. She's natural blonde, and she's very smart. That doesn't happen that often. I myself, I also have a birth defect. I was born left-handed. Are any lefties in the crowd? All right, we got some lefties. You know, in a lot of cultures, they say left-handedness is a sin or that southpaws are evil. But I'll tell you why you should trust us more than you can trust anybody else on the face of the planet. We are the only people that will never look you in the eye and shake your hand with the same hand that we masturbate or wipe ourselves with. I am kind of a human dichotomy. If there's anybody from Kentucky in the audience, a dichotomy is not a medical procedure to turn me into a butch lesbian. A dichotomy means dual-natured. I'm dual-natured in that I am a combat veteran and I'm also a huge computer geek. The irony in that is that I suck at Call of Duty. I was in Operation Desert Storm, Operation Desert Shield, and there, in the desert, I was a private first class in the Army. Technically, I was also in the Vietnam War, but there I was a seaman first in privates. Sorry, that was a bad joke. So when I was getting out of the military, I had a hard time finding a job that kind of lined up with my skills as a combat soldier. So I got into what I thought was the best line of work for me, customer service. Specifically, I got into information technology, or IT as it's more commonly known. And in IT, it's a really odd job. It's one of the only day jobs that you would have that people will ask you to do your job for them for free. People ask me all the time if I'll fix their home computers. I'll tell you why this sucks. You end up finding out things about people that you really don't want to know. You find out what websites they visit, you find out what they've been doing on their computer, sometimes you find funny substances on their keyboard. It's awful. Last time I worked on a home computer, this was the last time I did it. This sweet little lady was helping her out. Her computer was really slow, so I started scanning it for spyware and viruses and stuff like that, and all these weird cookies and tracking cookies and spyware infections started popping up from sites like boysrus.com and ScrewTube. And this lady got all freaked out, turned pale, said, "I have no idea where those came from." And I'm like, "Come on, you live alone, Mom." Not fooling me. My mom's a freak. But actually, we also have to be kind of part doctor, part mechanic, in that we have to repair problems, diagnose problems, we have to treat viruses. But mechanics never have to deal with things like people calling them up and saying, "Yeah, I was looking at some naked people in my car yesterday." It won't even start. And we have to fix the problem no matter what. We don't have that fallback excuse that all doctors have. I mean, I would sound really stupid if I went up to, called somebody up and said, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith, we've done all we can do. It's in Bill Gates' hands now." So, information technology, combat veteran, as I said, dichotomy. I'm originally from San Diego, California. Thanks. I had like, soft clapping going on there. That's amazing. Usually I get, "Faggot!" But I'm used to that, it's okay. So I'm originally from San Diego, California. When I moved here to Oklahoma, there was some culture shock that went along with that, as you can probably imagine. Like, the first thing I noticed was that Baptists were liars. Like, how many of those churches can really be the First Baptist Church? They can't all be the First Baptist Church. Another thing is, I heard before I got here about tornadoes and how chaotic and random they are. You should tell people, if they move here from somewhere else, please do this courtesy to these folks. Tell them that they test the tornado sirens every day, every Wednesday at noon. All I heard is how chaotic and random they were, and every Wednesday at noon, there's Mike in the bathtub going, "Nope, these things are pretty prompt." Another thing I was surprised to see was that white people could be Native American. Like, I see these people with blonde hair and blue eyes, and they tell you that they've got an Indian card and they're 1/64th Cherokee. Look, 1/64th is the same ratio of Matchbox cars to real cars. Like, you shouldn't get free healthcare if you're a Matchbox car. And if you've got blonde hair and blue eyes, your Indian name is probably going to be Identity Crisis. Another thing that blew me away was that I was flipping through the channels on TV one day, and I noticed that they were televising a third grader football game. I love football. I love that Oklahomans take their football seriously. And I also love watching 9-year-olds give each other concussions. But I gotta go wonder where we go from there. What's next? Fetus football? And number 9 takes it all the way to the umbilical wall. What a run for Embryo Jones. Yeah, Phil, and it wouldn't have been possible without that beautiful backside block by the youngest player on the team, Concepcion Martinez. I think if fetus football was a thing, the Jenks Trojans would want to change their mascot. And then north of here we got Owasso. If you break that down, that's ow, ass, oh. Their mascot is the ram. That had to be a comedian that came up with that mascot. They're definitely not going to have any fetus football players. Everybody's going to have to recruit from Booker T. Washington. They got the Hornets. Okay, my last bit. One of the things I've always wondered, do you think that news people talk like they do at work when they're at home? And tonight, we investigate why, being told numerous times it's never to happen, spinach ended up on my plate again. Domestic violence at 9. In weather, Hurricane Bitchface is about to get 6 inches. And finally, in sports, Embryo Jones has signed a contract to play with the Union Redskins. Thank you, everybody. That's my time. Enjoy the rest of the show.